Welcome to BoomerBabes Life Wellness Podcast. I'm Jaynie Morris-Riggs, founder and creator of fun at BoomerBabes Life, our global community for women over 50. Now, it's really wonderful to have your company as we discuss the latest in all things wellness. Being healthy, living an active and healthy lifestyle is the key to living long and active, happy lives. We know that. And that's why we are committed at BoomerBabes Life to bringing you new ideas, products, services, and so much more through our wellness division at BoomerBabes Life. So if you'd like to know more of what we're doing, head on over to boomerbabeslife.com/wellness and check it out. But for today, for our BoomerBabes Life Wellness Podcast, I have the absolute delight of welcoming back our BoomerBabes Life Wellness leader and educator, the gorgeous, the beautiful Therese Kerr. Therese, welcome back.
Oh, thank you so much, Jaynie. It's so lovely to be back. I love having these conversations with you. It's just beautiful.
Well, we love hearing from you because at the end of the day, you are the queen of clean living, and we're so honoured to have you as our wellness leader and educator. So today, Therese, we want to talk to you about one of my favourite subjects, actually, wine. But specifically, we like to talk about organic wine and, you know, what the differences are, what it is, what's good about it, and all of that information. So help us out here, Therese. Organic wine.
Yep. So thank you, Jaynie. Well, I too like to have a little glass of wine. I used to drink conventional wine, and then I'd find, especially with red wine, if I had a glass of wine, I'd get a headache, even if I had one glass. And I think as you become more low-tox living and you don't subject your body to different chemicals as much as what we normally would if we weren't aware of, the chemicals in our everyday lives. The cleaner we are, the more chemicals will actually impact, or the greater we'll react to those chemicals as such. So with wine, with organic wine, what I love about organic wine is that it is as nature intended. So we don't have lots of the nasty things in organic wine that we commonly find in conventional wine. I'm going to go through that with you, Jaynie, so that the people who are listening to this will understand some of the things that they may not know are actually in wine. I think that everyone's heard about sulfites and sulfur as such. Now, what that is bacteria and also yeast in the winemaking process as such. So even some organic wine will contain sulfur or sulfites as such, but in organic wine, more often than not, it's how that actual sulfur or sulfite is captured. So for example, I have an incredible winemaker friend who has he has a biodynamic and a certified organic wine. He has a special type of gas that he uses to preserve his wine that removes any, and the way that it's actually made, this particular sulfur sulfite, is that it removes anything that really can be detrimental to your health. Now, there's many other different things in wine. We obviously have yeast. Now, it is actually, why they use yeast is it turns sugar into alcohol, and the yeast or the quality or the different kind of yeast can really affect the flavor of the resulting wine. There is still yeast in organic wine, but again, it's produced in a different way, and I think that's really important to understand. Also, we have tannin, a lot of tannin in red wine as such, and really that's really to support that beautiful rich red wine flavor as such. We have lots of sugar in conventional wine, which a lot of people may not know. So what they call it is chaptalization, is the process of adding sugar to grape juice in order to increase the final alcohol level. Now, with organic wine, there is, again, with all organic and certified organic practices, there are requirements that have to be adhered to as such. So there's very strict criteria in organic wine where it isn't in conventional wine. Now, the real challenge, I think, where a lot of people don't understand, sometimes they'll see an organic wine and it's a bit more cloudy than a conventional wine. And that cloudiness comes from, normally conventional wine is what we call clarified, or there's a fining process as such. And what happens after a wine has been freshly fermented, it goes through a period of stabilization, and then chemicals are added during this process to pull out any unwarranted characteristics of the wine. So, for example, copper sulfate is added to remove free sulfur in the wine. And then we have many other, and I'm going to go through, so egg white as an example. A lot of people probably don't understand that egg white is used as a fining agent in wine. When I first found that out, I thought, I wondered why sometimes conventional wine has that funny bit of an odor as such, and I really believe it's from the egg white. Now, organic and certified organic and biodynamic wine as such, even just organic wine by itself that's grown without chemicals, the use of chemicals or sprays as such, it is vegan. Whereas the conventional wine, and again, a lot of people, we don't know what we don't know until we know it. A lot of people don't know that the actual wine isn't vegan, that there's egg white, for example. There's also, believe it or not, there's a ingredient called isinglass, which is dried swim bladders of fish. And that's used to clarify wine as well. In some instances, for the fining process of grape wine or sherry, they actually use milk products, so pasteurized whole skim or half and half milk. Gelatin is also added. Now, that's really to clarify juice or wine, so used in both the clarification of juices, fruit juices as such, and wine. And then, interestingly enough, there's another ingredient that is used to really help to remove heat labile proteins as such, and that is protease or trypsin, which is actually derived from porcine or bovine pancreas as such. So from beef pancreas. There's also protease pepsin, which is derived from porcine or bovine stomachs. And again, it is there to reduce or to remove heat labile proteins. So it's really interesting, Jaynie, when we look into what is actually, they estimate that about a third of the actual wine is a chemical type of base when we have conventional wine. There's also ingredients like deacidifiers that control acid control, that control the acid level. The pH of the wine is crucial to how it tastes, and also crucial to how long it lasts. So they use these deacidifiers as such, calcium carbonate, acar chalk, basically. It will reduce acid levels and increase the pH level of wine. And then we also have other potential acidifiers that they use, tartaric acid, malic acid, citric acid, and a blend which can help to, really improve the taste of wine. But a lot of people don't know about that. And then we have stabilizers. So stabilizers, so a sulfur and sulfates are stabilizers, but there's other ingredients that are used to stabilize wine. And that's really, it's some of them in particular are really detrimental. So there's one called DMDC, which is dimethyl dicarbonate. Now, it's used to sterilize and to stabilize wine, as well as to dealkalize wine as such. Now, it is really poisonous, believe it or not. Within the first hour it's added. So that usually happens at bottling, but it hydrolyzes in about half an hour. So, and it's also, interestingly enough, found in orange juice, iced tea, Gatorade, this particular chemical, dimethyl dicarbonate is the actual name, DMDC. But it's pretty scary to think some of these chemicals are in this wine, Jaynie. What are your thoughts after hearing that?
Well, oh my goodness me. I am just blown away with everything that you just said. I mean, I do, from I'm not as well educated and up to speed as far as the ingredients and the processes of wine as per se. Most people who follow me, they do know that when my story, when I was given 2 months to live 7 years ago, that my liver specialist said to me when I asked them if I was allowed to have a drink at my wedding, which was a couple of years later, they said to me that all the research that they had done on, because they get asked that question by their patients all the time, the research that they had done, they had found that at that point in time, the only wines that they would ever recommend that you could have in moderation, like just one glass, for instance, at a celebration situation, was French champagne and French Chablis and organic wine. And they said because they don't have all of the nasties, blah, blah, blah. Well, you've just confirmed, like you've just listed all the things that they went blah, blah, blah about. And I can't, especially the some of the things that you were saying, like the bovine ingredients and the pancreas.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Wow, I'm looking at Chardonnay completely different.
Yep, exactly. And that's the same with me. And there's also other ingredients like potassium sorbate, which is really there to ward off bacteria and to prevent the yeast from spoiling. Ultimately there's calcium carbonate as well. There's also other ingredients, well, even water. Water is added in many wines, and even grape juice concentrate, which is crazy that, adding a grape juice concentrate to, wine, and that's really mass production wine. Whereas, what we're talking about drinking is beautiful wine from nature that, it's organic, it's not spoiled by chemicals, and because the land hasn't got the chemicals in it, the taste of the grapes when you drink organic wine, and my goodness, the efficacy in producing wine and the taste now of organic wine, honestly, it is right up there with the best of the best, wines that are produced. I personally drink organic wine now, my husband and I, and we've got, on the platform, we've got the sparkling Shiraz, which is phenomenal. We've got the red, we've got the Pinot Gris, and they're beautiful wines. And the best thing, Jaynie, is you don't get a headache when you have them either.
Yeah, and that's the other thing as well that you and I've discussed off air is even with one glass, because I'm like you and I don't drink, obviously, I'll have the occasional celebratory French champagne and what have you, but just one glass, the headache aspect of it is, it's instantaneous. And I think the other point that's really valuable in our conversation today, Therese, and you touched on it right from the beginning of today's podcast, is that we work so hard to become very mindful of what we put in our bodies, what we put on our bodies, and how we live our lives so that we can live the healthiest and most active lives as possible. And we often forget, as you've discussed in previous podcasts, the hidden chemicals, the hidden things in those products that we actually use that we think are okay. And I think that the light that you're shining on wine at in today's podcast is so important. And I'm so excited that we have these beautiful organic wines available for everyone now as well.
My pleasure, gorgeous one. And thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you, all the beautiful people listening, to allow me to share, what I'm so passionate about. To have the grace of your listening is my blessing. So thank you. Thank you, Jaynie.
Thank you so much. BoomerBabesLife.com/podcasts. Go and subscribe. Never miss any of our wellness podcasts. And in the meantime, create an absolutely fabulous day. My name is Jaynie Morris Riggs.